everyone, welcome to my video. Here I am, Cindi Yulia Widiatantri from TBI4C. Will tell you a story about the shoes. You know what? The shoes that we think only simple thing that we need to wear every day is have a story though. Okay, let's go to the story. A story about shoes when it happened 40,000 years ago before us. Footwear is a given. However, it wasn't always this way, but why do we wear shoes? Because it will be ridiculous to be walking around barefoot in the cold Finnish Lapland or the dirty streets of New York City. Of course, but shoes which nowadays have gone beyond for latest Yeezy to survive probably not stop. And the transition happened when the shoes go from being a protective barrier to fashion statements and status symbol. The first evidence of footwear can be found 40,000 years ago. In 2008, researchers recovered human skeletons from Tiananmen Cave and now popular as an archaeological site near Beijing. They didn't find actual shoes, but what they did find were strong bone legs with slim toe bones, which suggests that these humans protect their feet with some sort of footwear. Analysis of the sandals shows that they're more than 9,000 years old. But humans' first leather shoe is a 5,500 years old moccasin-like slipper found in Armenia in 2008, called the Irene One shoe. This is the pic of Irene One shoe, and these are the first hiking shoes. The shoes found inside Fort Rock Cave, Oregon. Inside the cave, craftsmen discovered dozens of sandals made of twinned cedar brass. Analysis of the sandals shows that they're more than 9,000 years old. But humans did use sandals for everything. And the other shoes was found in Osel, Alps between Austria and Italy, on the feet of none other than Aussie man. The tip of his 5,000-year-old shoes and their soles were made of leather, put together by braided dry grass, lined with hide for insulation. That shoes is look like this. The division is put of grass and linen with hide for insulation. But as the humans settled down in a different parts of the world and civilization grew for different kinds of footwear. And now we are moving to more modern shoes. The now popular moccasin finds its origin in native communities in North America. The shoes look like this. The first moccasins were made of leather or a bison and walked typically outdoors with a colorful bit. But it's not good for keeping them dry during rainy weather and warm season. People would just go barefoot. But the shoes that transcended civilization were not the moccasin or boot. It was the thong sandal. The thong sandal look like this. That's right, it's the great-grandparents of the flip-flop. We can see an ancient Egyptian wearing them in murals that date back to 4000 BCE. They were also supported by ancient Mexican, Chinese, Japanese, and African civilizations, all of which have their own version made of different material. The Greeks not only saw no need the sandal, they actually prefer to go sandals. Just take a look of the statues of Greek god. Not a single one wearing a shoes. And many are partial, if not completely nude. Is that cool story, isn't it? But do you know there was an athlete win an Olympiad marathon with a barefoot? Okay, let me tell you a story about him. His name is Bikila from Ethiopia. This is him. He won 2 medals for Olympic marathon running, of one which he completed barefoot. Athletes who took part in the ancient Olympic Games are widely known to have participated barefoot and naked, but centuries after this, Greek runners competed in the early race. In the summer of 1960, at 5:30 p.m., Olympic athletes were gathering in Italy's Cindi Square, getting ready to run 26 miles around Rome. But there was one thing that bothered Bikila about the race: his shoes. Back in Ethiopia, Bikila was used to running completely barefoot. So on the day of the race, how he would compete? Bikila was not expected to win, but at 28 miles, he was already leading the race. Against a Moroccan runner named Redi bin Abdussalam for the top spot. In the end, Bikila managed to overrun Abdussalam, making him the first black African who won an Olympic medal. In 1964, Bikila would join the race again for the Tokyo Olympics. He won his second gold medal that summer, only this time he wearing a suit. I don't know what happened to the Bikila. Is that just a technical or just opportunity for him? What do you think, guys? We're back again to the story of the shoes. I think all of you will know about high heel shoes, but do you think the story of high heel is glamorous, like we'd like to think? This pattern is look like this. Being able to wear patterns was also seen as a status symbol, as a slave, thrift, mood, and other fruits barefoot. Heel as a fashion statement brought to Western Europe. After Persian diplomatic missions visited several European courts at the end of 16th century, but Persian soldiers used them to safely secure their feet in stirrups. But Europeans decided they would give them a twist. Unlike patterns, European heels weren't designed with practicality in mind. They were meant to be an extravagant status symbol. It's really glamorous. What do you think, guys? And you know what? Only people who could afford not to move around too much could wear them, and so they become popular among European society. And these shoes can be worn by a man or a woman. But in fact, France, they were actually policies determine how high your heels could be depending on your level of nobility. Commoners could only wear half of inch of high heels. The middle class folks could wear 1 inch high heels. Nobles wore 2-inch high heels and princes wore 2.5 inch high heels. This is the princess that wear 2.5 inch high heels. This is really glamorous, do you think? And by the late 1700 years becomes outmoded for men and started to become more related to feminine fashion. So high heel becomes the feminine one. And this shoes is more like high heel we see nowadays. The French red bottom of Christian Louboutin heels have become one of the most iconic fashion items of the 21st century, with many pop stars that dedicating a first or two their favorite pair of Louboutin pumps. They were introduced to the French court in 1873 by King Louis XIV, only allowed people within his close circle of noble men and women to wear red soled shoes, clearly making their rank and social standing among royalty. It didn't take long for this trend to catch on in other European countries, and so the red heels of soles become a way to find wealth and privilege. Wow, that was the history of high heels. I think it's really interesting. What do you guys think? The earliest version of a common sneaker was the plimsolls. This is a plimsoll. Plimsolls were developed in the 18th century, and their design was very simply. Their soles were made of rubber and the top covered with canvas fabric. We used them for playing tennis, a sport that was very popular at the time. This is why sneakers are also referred as the tennis shoes. And in 1992, the United States Rubber Company decided they would make a more comfortable, non-navy version of the shoe and mass-produced it. The first sneaker came out in 1970. They named them Cats. Marcus Mills Converse, owner of the Converse rubber shoe company, developed the first sneaker created especially for playing basketball. Adolf Adi Dassler created a sneaker that would go global his company. The name of the brand is Adidas. And his older brother, Rudolf Dassler, he was the founder of Puma. But before they opened space companies, the Dassler were a team. Adolf was craftsman behind the shoes design, and Rudolf focused on business. The company was called the Dassler Brothers Sport. They called the aim of the international community at the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin. Adolf cleverly approached him with a suitcase full of spikes designed by Dazzler, and somehow finds it. Luckily, the Dazzler brothers Owens went on to win 4 gold medals while sporting their shoes. But then the Dazzler brothers found another fruitful market in a certain political party, whose name we can author. Both brothers joined to the party and began starting its young movement with footwear. When the war broke out in 1936, production was heavily constricted. After the end of the war, tension that had already been building up between the brothers during the war finally exploded. The once fruitful partnership parted ways, creating their own companies, Adidas and Puma. But although cats come first, Adidas and Puma were the early pioneers of the sneaker, is an Oregonian brand that currently in the sneaker industry with a brand value $15 billion. The brand name is Nike. The company was founded by track and field coach athlete duo in 1964 and was originally called Blue Ribbon Sport through the 70s and 80s. Nike steadily expanded its sportswear, but the brand truly got its big break in 1984. After they signed a collaboration with none other NBA star Michael Jordan. It's been 35 years since this iconic collaboration happened, but Nike's Jordan line continues to expand and revolutionize the sneaker in 21st century. We've certainly come a long way from wearing sandals made of dried grass to developing shoes that will perfectly the contour of our feet. It may take a long time for new technology become available for everyone, but in the meantime, we just have to take it one step at a time. That was an interesting story, isn't it? Okay guys, that's all the story that I can tell you about the shoes at this section. I'm sorry if there is any wrong thing I say. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.